You're very likely to fail in 2024 if you start a new business. The stats are not in your favor. But if you have the dream and the passion, that shouldn't stop you. According to Harvard Business Review, 75% of all startups fail to return even the original capital back to investors, and 90% fail to achieve even a fraction of the return on investment that they promised. I'm Doc John, the Entrepreneur Professor. I'm an entrepreneur and I teach entrepreneurship at a leading university, and I've worked with and analyzed thousands of startups. In this video, I'm going to highlight the top 5 brutal reasons that entrepreneurs fail. You'll want to stay until the end to hear some can't fail approaches for testing out a business concept before going all in without a backup plan. Let's get into it. Let's count down the top 5 brutal reasons why startup entrepreneurs fail. Startup fail reason number 5, ignore the advice of advisors, investors, and other stakeholders. This is a good way to miss out on key insights and really get the benefit of the experience of those who have gone before you, maybe in related businesses or businesses in the same industry. If you ignore these experienced individuals who are willing to be a mentor or guide, you're missing out on all of their experience. In some cases, they probably have tried some of the things you're going to try and failed, and they may be able to give you some insights into how to do it better or to avoid some things that maybe would be expensive pitfalls. Startup fail reason number 4. Choose the wrong co-founder, or choose a co-founder for the wrong reasons. It can be really tempting to bring someone else into the business early, to have someone else to work with you, to maybe get some skills that you don't have, or to just increase your bandwidth. Doing this too soon can lead to big problems. Startup fail reason number 3, sell too much equity too soon. If you sell a lot of your equity before you really have a chance to build the value in the company, it can be really hard later to entice other investors to get involved because there isn't as much opportunity for them. So take your time and think through how you want to approach the business before you bring in equity investors who now want to have input into your process. Startup fail reason number 2, fall in love with your idea while ignoring your customers. Of course, you may have this great idea that you think is going to be world-changing and game-changing for potential customers and prospects. But if you get that wrong, you can invest an enormous amount of time and money into the wrong things, and then that ends up becoming a sunk cost. Or worse, it leads to what's called the sunk cost bias, which makes you keep going on an idea that's no longer working. So it's better instead to come up with lots and lots of ideas. Even if you have one idea that you really have a strong hunch about, come up with more ideas. This is called the ideation process, and the more ideas you have, the more likely you're going to be able to be flexible when your first idea doesn't line up with what customers want or need or their expectations. And the second part of this is, if you don't listen to your customers, you won't know whether they like your idea, whether your idea resonates with them, and whether they're willing to buy your idea. And so this is where having that flexibility and getting that continuous input from customers can be really helpful. And the startup fail reason number 1, chicken out and don't take your shot. This can be the biggest source of failure for startups because if you don't start, you're never going to succeed. And the truth is, I think a lot of the statistics are actually misleading because many startups fail because they never start. And then they don't even become part of the group that's determined whether they succeeded or failed. So this is probably the number 1 reason why startups fail, is that they never get started because the founder either decides the idea is going to be too much work, or they don't have confidence in themselves, or they just are feeling like that it's too risky. So if you have a really good idea and you have a passion for it and you have the desire, go for it. You're never going to know unless you try. You can do it. And here's 5 can't fail approaches to avoiding some of these startup flops. The number 5 startup flop was ignoring investors, advisors, and key stakeholders. So to address number 5, find key advisors who are knowledgeable and experienced in the kind of business that you want to launch. Form relationships with these individuals. Listen to what they have to say. There are some really good places to find these kinds of mentors and advisors. Organizations like the Venture Cafe, SCORE, the Small Business Administration, also community or university incubators and accelerators. Individuals are connected to these organizations that are looking for opportunities to share their experiences and insights with new up-and-coming founders. So be sure to take advantage of this resource. The number 4 fail was choosing the wrong co-founder or choosing a co-founder for the wrong reasons. The can't fail approach to this is look for collaborations and collaborators before starting to try to identify a co-founder. This way you can look for those that have a similar vision and mindset to you, but also you can look for those that have complementary or missing skills and experiences in comparison to your background. Also, look for someone who works well with you. Then you can determine whether an individual is a good co-founder or just a solid collaborator or a contractor or employee. Consider carefully before taking the plunge and taking on a co-founder. The number 3 reason startups fail is selling equity too soon. And why does this happen? Well, there's a desire to get capital early so that you have money to be able to try out new things, to build the product, to develop customers, to do marketing. And these can all be good things, but selling that equity too soon can really work against the value of the business. Instead, try bootstrapping the business for as long as possible and in any way you can. Delay taking that outside investment that requires you to sell equity. Or look for ways to bring on investment without selling equity before you have a chance to establish the value of the business or how valuable the business will be to future potential investors. Use cheap or free resources to put as much sweat equity as you can into the business. These are things that build the value of the business before you have to actually trade some of that value for equity. Also, look for investors who are comfortable with a convertible note or a safe agreement that allows them to participate in the success of the business without you having to carve up the ownership of the business too soon. The number 2 reason for failing is falling in love with a business idea and not listening to customers. For this one, take every opportunity to talk to customers directly. Ask questions about the problem that you are solving for them and other ways they have tried to deal with that problem in the past. Listen carefully and incorporate these learnings into your decisions about growing or changing the business. This is called customer development, and it's a way that you can express empathy towards your customer, actually build relationships with them, and learn more about what it is they need that no one else can deliver as well as you can. And the number 1 reason startups fail is they never start. And so for this one, the key insight is launch today, don't wait. There's an adage, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So don't be afraid to launch today and learn as you go. You don't have to have everything figured out. You don't even have to have a product yet to sell, but you can decide today to launch the business. And then you can start to take the steps that you would do if you were going to really take a shot at creating this business. So get started as soon as you can. If you want to learn more about how to launch a successful startup, side hustle, or any kind of business today, check out my video called Become a Thriving Entrepreneur in 2024. Keep going.